9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda with DevExpress. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am here with DevExpress technical evangelist Don Wibier. Hi, Don. How are you doing?
Hi, Amanda. I'm good. And also, welcome everybody.
I see you have the Blazin 2024 with Blazor challenge up on your screen. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see as well, it's counting down. And
Yes, it is.
what that means is that you have another 12 days to join the challenge. And this is actually not the only thing that is being that's running right now by Microsoft. You can also go for a C# certification.
That's right.
But since we will be streaming about Blazor, I thought this would be a nice one. I mean, we try to explain as much tricks as possible, but obviously, if you want to start from zero, then check this page out. And there is a bunch of courses and some training material that will help you create, yeah,
Your
uh,
first Blazor app,
good
right?
Blazor. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
And you'll get like a nice little online badge if you proceed with like one of the courses and stuff. So you can actually keep track of what you have been doing. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll post that link into the chat. All right. So, what are we doing today with Blazor?
Yeah. Well, we started last week with yeah, what is involved in getting a web forms application and move that over into Blazor. And yeah, I made a start. And let's see what we have. This is actually what we see right now is the web forms application. And I have been preparing the project last time. And I think what we have right now, let me see, I had it running as well. Um, Maybe I closed it. So let me start it quickly up again. So where is it? Here. Yeah, so this is basically the start where we left off with the hotel booking application. Yeah, I did some migration on Entity Framework because apparently this demo application that we ship with our ASP.NET subscription is already using a proper data access layer. So it's Entity Framework, though it was Entity Framework 6, and we have upgraded it to Entity Framework for .NET Core. And today, yeah, as you can see, it is like the master page or the main layout has been set up, and we're gonna spend some time on a couple of other things. So if I get the other one, we'll see what is involved with this header. And I mean, you might think this is a simple header, but obviously we have some things here. We have something here. And I would like to show how we can convert this form as well, what you see here, the hotel search box. And if we have time, I'm gonna take a look at this gallery because yeah, I've got some cool stuff for that as well, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the plan for today.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in.
Yeah. All right. So what I did last time, I created a solution. In this case, it is a Blazor server application, and I added the existing demo app to this solution. And the reason for that is that I can copy over a code and I can try to reuse as much as possible. Obviously, if you're gonna look into migrating your existing web forms application, yeah, you have to really consider whether it's doable because yeah, the architecture of a Blazor application is typically different from an average WebForms application, but in this case, we are able to reuse a bunch of code. And with this approach, I can just copy over certain fragments of code into the Blazor application and see how that works. So one of the things that I did was I created this main layout with the body tag, and in the original version. So if I go to the site master in WebForms, what we'll see is that there is this main placeholder, which has been replaced by this body tag. But also there is this header control. And that is something that I did paste in, but I commented it out because we need to do some work on that. And that's what we're going to do right now. So first, let's take a quick look at the header control in the WebForms application. So what it has is a couple of divs here. It's got a logo in. Well, we can change that over quite quickly. It's got a number of buttons, which we can take over as well. And then we have a pop-up control number 1. And we have another pop-up control, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here it is. So we have those components for Blazor as well, so we can start migrating that. And we will run in a couple of smaller issues, but we can see how to overcome those. So let's create, I'll do it just in the layout folder as well. I'm going to create a header control. I'll just call it header control as well. And like I did last time, I can now actually immediately go here and put that thing in. Header control. And with this, I can also remove this thing that I commented out. So let's get rid of that. And now I'll copy over some of that stuff. Well, let's see. So the login panel JavaScript functions is something that we will not be using. So let's start with this and take it all over. Put it in. And now we can start modifying. And this is something, yeah, I mean, we get questions quite a bit, like is there like a conversion tool to transform your WinForms application into Blazor? Well, there are some efforts being made, but it's typically difficult to convert it automatically with some tool because the architecture is just too different. So let's first comment out the pop-ups. It's quite a bit of markup here, so we can change that afterwards. But first, we're going to take a look whether it will look okay without those pop-ups. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to remove those pop-ups and paste them in later. As long as I do it in a correct page. Be a bit of a bummer if I remove them from the WebForms project, but we're still in Blazor, so that's no problem. All right, so here I can change this into a href, which I will point to the home page, which is not default ASPX anymore. And I can insert a normal image. And let's see. That thing has a source. And we can copy that. out of it. I copied all the static assets last time as well from the web project into the Blazor project, so I don't need to modify any paths or anything here. And with this, we have that image. Well, the button, we can replace those with buttons from Blazor. So in this case, I'm going to create a DX button. I'll do that as well. And the click event, we're going to deal with that slightly different. And that's one of the reasons why it's not so easy to convert Blazor or WebForms into Blazor. Then there will be a couple of things that can go. Like this does not work anymore. We're going to remove these ones as well. And the run it server, obviously. I'll get rid of those as well. All right, so this is our first effort for the header control. Let's see if I have that somewhere. Probably need to quickly recompile that. And here we have it.
Wow.
And so now we have converted this, but obviously the buttons don't do anything. And if I take a look at those buttons, these are slightly bigger, or at least the padding looks a bit bigger. So we can use some different means. Let me see. I can say I want to have a padding of 5, which is bootstrap, because we included bootstrap as well, so we can use bootstrap tags as well. Let's see if this works. Nah, that didn't work. I really have to look into that style sheet. Let me quickly see. The orange button.
So you're trying to change the
Maybe
size or add padding?
Yeah, I thought I did the padding, the bootstrap padding, but we could actually go here and I could take over a couple of things from the original code, because there was something here like a font size and a width and a height, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And these ones I can just take and I can put those in the styles. I'm not sure if that breaks anything else. But what I could do is actually create another style, orange button login. That was the first one, I think. And I'll put these, so this is going to be the font size. Which will be 14 pixels and a width of this. And a height of this. And now, oh, what did I forget? A semicolon. if I now take this one and put that back into that first button. Ah, that was, let me see. Which one did I take? I took the contact one. Ah, so this was the wrong one. And change this one as well. Okay, so let's check the other one. That was the login. And that is, oh, I can just take that over from the other one. I think that was 75.
Is it, I'm assuming it matters if button is spelled incorrectly.
Yeah, well, oh, look at that.
Oh, bigger.
Yeah. I forgot to add that login class to the to that second button here. You see? Okay, but still, it looks slightly different. Huh? What do you think? Should we dive into this, or do you say like it's okay? Yeah.
Well, go back to the Blazor. I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely bigger than it was, right?
Yeah, it's slightly bigger. I'm not entirely sure why this. I should think that putting in that padding would do it actually, but apparently that was. If I put in this bootstrap padding of like 2, that is yeah, it should be okay, I guess. Let's try it again because the font size was good, but only the padding seems to be a bit off.
Yeah, less.
It's, was that one? Yeah, now it's good, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay, well, anyway, so this is how you can work with that. But now it's getting more interesting because if we check that login form, we yeah, we need to show this pop-up, so that can be done as well. And for that, I will use our DevExpress Blazor pop-up. And for that, let me see how we're going to do that. The pop-up shows, by the way, in the middle. Oh, let me go back. So this one shows on the screen center, but I think this one is actually down that button. So those are two different things. And in Blazor, we have a very nice, we have those two controls actually. So let me show you that. If I go to the demos, and I think it was dialects and windows, we have the pop-up. And the pop-up will typically open up in the screen center. But what we also have is a drop down. And that one opens up right under the control. So what we can do is the login button will use a pop-up, and for the other one we'll use a drop down. And well, to do so, I can let's put that right in here. So the first thing that we'll do is, let me first declare a couple of members here. So I'm gonna declare a public bool show contact. The property, and I'm gonna show one which is show login. And now I can go for DX pop-up, and I'm gonna bind one of those two properties. In this case, it's gonna be the show login. To the visible property of that pop-up. Well, furthermore, I want to have a vertical alignment, which, oh, this is so annoying. Vertical alignment center, horizontal alignment center. I want to have a show footer. I want to have a show close button non-visible. I'm going to put in a width of 608 pixels. I noticed that the width of that original one has that. And a class which is the login pop-up. And if we want to check how that looks, I can now go here to the click of the button. And say show login is true. And now I need to probably do a quick build. And here we have the pop-up. So now we can start putting that content in. One of the things that we need to do is, if we go to the original one, we have this login form, and then we have a couple of controls. So one of the things that is a bit interesting, but I'm not sure if you want to put that in, that is this captcha control. I'm not sure. We don't have that in Blazor, and we can probably find an alternative. But I mean, these days, a captcha control. Are you going to any sites, Amanda, which have like a captcha control, or?
I get a lot of those, and maybe this is also a captcha, but the image, like
Oh yeah.
choose all the squares with the bus or a motorcycle.
Yeah. But that's from an external service. Yeah, you're right. That is actually
Okay.
from Google, I think.
Yeah, that's
But for
mainly what I get now. I rarely get a captcha anymore.
yeah, it's either the one that you were mentioning or like a two-factor authentication thing
Right.
these days. Yeah. So what do you think? Should we find an alternative for this? If we want to go for that Google one, that's possible, but then I need to set up a Google account for the site to be connecting to, so that might be a bit out of scope. What do you think? Just skip this one or put another one in? Or?
I say skip it.
cool.
Maybe set it up for next time
We
if we
could
want
do
to add
so.
it.
All right, so let's first head back to the WinForms version because we need to get some stuff out of here, I guess. So we are now with the login control and we have taken over this width. So I've taken over a bunch of properties, but they had different property names. But now we have this is the title basically. So I'm going to put that in the header template. So let's copy this one over like this. Get back to our Blazor control. And right here, I'm going to put in a header control, a header template. And copy this in. Another thing that we'll need is the footer template and obviously the body template of this pop-up. And we can actually go for the body content template or the body template. And one of them makes sure that I always forget which one it is. It will keep track of the padding of the control and all that stuff. And the other one is the raw content of the body. But this one that I'm using right now is in most cases better. So let's put in the footer template as well. And now, now we need to do some Blazor specific stuff because we need to deal with that form, and that form that will be bounced to an object, and we can do our stuff from there. And also, if we check how that form has been set up in the original version, what we have is a form layout for WebForms, but we have that for Blazor as well, and we can use that.
You have a form layout for Blazor?
Yeah, we fortunately have that form layout as well. And yeah, that is quite a lifesaver. The only thing is that this one has way more markup produced as the one for Blazor. So it's not really worth copying it over. So I'll code it quickly in myself. But before we can do that, we'll need to define a little model. And for the depth, normally you would put that in a separate file and organize things quite a bit. But for this demo, I will create a small class here, which is my login model, which I will bind to that form, and which will hold a public string email. And I am going to initialize it to its default value, and I will put in a public string password, which I will also default to an empty string. And okay, so for now we're gonna leave the captcha out, but that could be put in here as well. What I also use is the annotations. I mean, in the previous episodes that we did with the Chinook database application, I used a different approach, like the fluent validation. Maybe you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
For now, to keep things simple and to show you a different approach, I'm going to put in a required attribute, and that thing comes from this namespace. And I also want this to be like an email address. So this is another way that we can use to validate what the user has put in. The same I will do for passwords. That's going to be a required one. That should typically do it. So this is the model that we will be using. And in this case, I can now go and start putting in an edit form. And this is a typical Blazor thing. I will reference this to a private member a bit later. I don't think I need that actually. The model is going to be login model. I did define the class, but I didn't put it in yet. Let me put that in. So that the errors will go away. Yeah, I hate that red wobbly stuff. Let's see. And now we need to take over a couple of classes, which I noticed to be in the original one. So in this case, let me see. Oh, I need to put in a context. And on submit. So once we submit, we'll go to the initiate login. I mean, the only thing that we'll do right now is that we will hide the pop-up. So let's put that in as well. Log in. And we'll say show login false. All right, so with this in place, we can now start using this. Oh, we need to put in a data annotations validator. So it will actually check those attributes that we put in here. And now we can start putting in that form layout. Caption position is going to be vertical. So we'll first have the label, and under the label we'll have the input control. We'll have a CSS class form layout. We probably need to do a bit of styling, and next we can put a DX form layout item, which will have a caption, login, username. It will have a call span of 12 columns in the layout, and we can now put in a DX text box with a null text of email, and I'm binding the text of that control to my login model .email. I want to have show validation put to true. I can do the same for which I will copy. I can do the same for the email address. So let's do this. The password. this in place. We have that set up properly. The last thing that I'll do is let me copy over one of these and replace this one with a validation summary. So in case we miss anything, we'll get a text what is missing basically. So let's see how this looks, that form context. Maybe I need to get rid of that. Yeah. This is not good. We'll get rid of this altogether. And now it is complaining about the context, which I just removed.
Which you just
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen, but
haphazardly deleted.
Well, yeah, this edit form has a context, but these layout items, they have contexts as well. This is a bit of it's a typical Blazor thing.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them should have this context specified, and I was going to do that here. And then it should be good. Oh, maybe I should put a layout context here as well. Context layout. Yeah, I think this should do it. And now what does it say? The DX pop-up has one as well. Oh, that means the body template should have a context specified as well. Log in body. Okay.
Okay, huzzah.
Let's see. This is the original one. And it looks like this. Oh, it doesn't have any labels, but it's got like these text inside it. So let's see if we go here. Okay, so it looks quite okay, but we need to get rid of these ones. So we can do that by...
Yeah, we don't need 2 passwords to remember.
Yeah, that was a copy and paste thingy there. I didn't... For some reason, the hot reload doesn't run. All right, so we have a user, the email address and the passwords.
Nice.
That needs to be a password box as well. So, and we need to have the buttons. So I think this one has a property password equals true. And we need to put something in the footer. So let's have a quick check how that has been set up in the original one. There must be some footer which holds a button container, and I can take these two. I put them in here. Close them down. Oh. And let's put some buttons in there. And I can probably just put in some. I could use the DevExpress one as well, but I'm not doing that. And I'll show you in a minute why. Because the form is something I want to specify. This button is not inside the form tag at runtime, but I still want to have this button to submit that form. So for that, I will submit the login form, and that works if I give that form also an ID. So let's do it like this. And let's put in a second button. Oh, which is of type normal button. I'll give that a different style, which is light. And in the on click, I'll say what was that? Show login. It's false. Now the only thing I need to do here is give this baby an ID, which will be login form. What went wrong here? I forgot something. Yeah, which is the closing tag of the button. Ooh, and here we have something which is also not entirely good.
Okay.
Let me see what's here. Oh, I didn't put anything in. That's so not too. I need to put login here. And cancel here. All right, so at least we have the buttons here.
Yeah.
If I hit cancel, the pop-up will go away. We need to do a bit on the styling. And if I hit login, it should validate, but it doesn't do so. Why is that? I can put something in here. And the password is going as well. And I need to do, no, I don't want to keep that. So maybe it's better to remove these ones. Let's see what happens if I remove these two divisions. Okay, well, this looks better. It's not entirely what I want, but we can probably change that by using the footer. There was another footer template, as I mentioned earlier, this one. And then you can also see the difference between those two. Where was it? Here it is. Okay, so here I have the login pop-up as well, and we can continue with the next element on the page.
All right.
Yeah, so Amanda, what do you think? Do you want me to do the contact drop down or make a start on this search box? Maybe that search box is a bit more interesting to show.
Yeah, I would like to see that search box. I mean, it's a lot of elements though. You got 15 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I can make that work probably. All right, so let's have a check on how that search box looks in ASP.NET. Where is it? Here. The search panel. Here is the search panel. Well, there is a bit of JavaScript. Then there is this division again. And it also holds a form layout. So we can do some stuff here. So it's quite a bit of markup, but we can change that quite fast. So for this, let's also set up this search panel. New Razor component. Search panel control. And let's get started. So first I will copy over that division. Let me see. That is that one. And I'll put in some padding as well. So here we have this. And again, I will need a search model. So for that, I will go to here, start coding a search model. So we can do something with the input parameters. And for this, let me have a check. So what we see here is that there is a column, or yeah, the drop-down box has 3 columns, which holds the location: a city, a country, and a number of hotels in that city and country. And this is gotten from the database, but we'll need to do something for that. So let's head back to the one in WebForms and see in the code behind. As we can see, there is some code being executed. So the check-in date is set on tomorrow. If the state is not selected, we'll select that stuff out of the database. And there is a couple of other things here. So we can do that by going, we need to do this slightly different. So again, a reason that there is not an easy way to convert WebForms into Blazor. But let's see, I need to go back. I need to be careful on which file I modify. I will create another class, which is the location model. And the location model is something that will be fetched from the database. And I'll put in a number of properties: the ID, city, country, area name, and the number of hotels. And then if we take a look at the search model, that will hold all the fields that are in the box. So in this case, It will hold the location, selected location. It will have a check-in date. I've changed it here to not tomorrow, but 5 days from today. The checkout is 3 days after check-in. Number of rooms, adults and children. What I also need is a static list for the number of rooms that you can select, because if we quickly take a look at what was that again, the number of rooms, there is a maximum of 5 rooms, so we can easily do that by putting in a static integer with 1 to 5. Next, I will put in a search model, pretty similar to what I've done with the login one. And I will also hold a protected enumerable of location models. So now what we can do in the on initialize async, let me make that async as well and do it like this. I can now go back to the WinForms one because there is a query in there. Let's see, here is a query that we can use directly into our Blazor application as well. But before we can do that, we need to get back and inject. Let me copy this over, because what you see here is we allocate a data context in this method. And we will obviously use a slightly different approach, but let me put this in because the context, I'm going to inject that through dependency injection. So here on top, I'll say inject hotel. What was it again? DX Hotels. How did I call that context again? It was this one. Like this. I can now remove this, and here we'll do it slightly different because what I want is I want to put this in the locations. So if I transform that quickly, I'll have this query being executed. This is the same as I used, except that I'm using this location model to store the results in, and that is being stored in that locations. And with this, I can now add my form. And the form, I will not hand code it, all of it, because it's going to be a bit of work. But what I typically do is I will start with that edit form again. So here it is. I have an edit form, which is bound to that search model that I declared. There is an edit context, and there is a data annotations validator. And now I'm using the form layout with a combo box, which will have 3 columns in there, or 4 actually: the ID, the city, the country, and the hotel count. And for the rest, I have just put in a check-in, which is of the type date edit, check out, and the number of rooms, which is bound to that static array of 5 rooms, and a number of adults bound to a spin edit, and a number of children as well. And then last but not least, there is this button that will submit. So let's see why there is still this red
Complaining.
line. Sorry?
I said the complaining.
Yeah, it has something to complain. Let's see what it says. Maybe it's just like a synchronization issue here, but no. Validate. Yeah, of course, we need a method. What was the name again? Here. And I have the impression that there is something else not okay. I think this should go as well, yeah. So now we need to figure out the place where we put that thing. And that is probably somewhere here. Remember, I commented this one out as well
Mm-hmm.
for this exact reason. So now I can go and put in my search panel control. Get this one out of the way. What do you think?
Fingers crossed.
There we are.
Aha.
And we have the same information here. So let me put this a bit on the side and the other one next to it so we can have a bit of a comparison here. Yeah, so the only thing that is different is that ID that is not in here, but we can hide that out quite easily by setting a property. But I mean, for the rest, oh, how do I do that? Um, ah, okay, well, anyway, this is what I wanted. So as you can see, oh, the number of hotels is not entirely
0.
correct.
Nothing's available.
Yeah, it's all fully booked. I need to check that out. But anyway, so we have the hotel search box in place as well. We took over a bit of code here and there. But this also makes it clear that it is not easy to go from web forms in one go to Blazor because, yeah, things are just different. Um, but I think that that we are getting there. The buttons look actually quite the same size on top. You see that?
Yeah.
So yeah, and as you can see that, yeah, we took over quite some styling, the whole transparency on the search box is there. We have the editors in place as well with some minor differences, but yeah, even this stuff, we have it here as well. Well, this is not connected somehow, but we can probably get that going as well. Yeah, so I think that this was again, yeah, one step to getting this application into Blazor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think next time we can take a look at this this gallery. What do you think?
Yeah, adding those images or adding.
Well, yeah, the images are actually there, but we have a bit of a challenge because our Blazor control set does not have a gallery yet. But
Mm,
fortunately, we have a very cool suite which is called DevExtreme, and it might be a, a nice idea to see if we can get that gallery from DevExtreme to work in our Blazor application. What do you
okay.
think?
I think it's a challenge. Let's do it.
All right.
We did have a question pop up, Don.
Oh, cool.
Not totally sure if it's related exactly to what's going on here, but Sushil says, "Hello, sir. Can you tell me how to add state machine through code if I have an enum name process stage in the lead class?"
I'm looking at that message as well. Yeah, a state machine through code. Well, and an enum name process stage in the lead class. Well, I think that a state machine can be used quite easily. Or you can create one um, by using dependency injection. And yeah, how would something like that work? I can show that probably really fast. If I go to my Blazor application and I would, for instance, let me check. I will put it in the root. It's. I wouldn't do it on or in real work, but let me add a little class here, and I will call this class state machine. And I wanna store information in this class and pass it over on different portions of the application. But that's typically what you want to do with something like that. So if I would add a property here, which is a public string, I don't know, destination in this case for the hotel booking application. Oh, I'll make this a get set property, and by default it's empty. What I can do now is if I go to my program CS file and I will go to the section where services are being registered, I can go and say builder.services. And now we have to be careful because this is the only difference between Blazor Server and Blazor WebAssembly. In this case, we are running on Blazor Server. Also on Blazor WebAssembly, I would go for the add scoped lifecycle of this service, and I will register my state machine. Where is that thing? Class here. So now for every client connected to this application, there will be one instance of this state machine. And yeah, if I want to use that state somewhere, if I go to index and I go to my search panel control, for instance, let's go here. I can go in the uninitialized and I can first I'll inject that state machine class as being state. And right here, I can, for instance, say in the uninitialized that I want to have my location or something. Yeah, let's see, how can we do that? As in this stage, yeah, that's not too convenient. Because then I would remember that location model. Let's do something else here. On this form, right on top of this form, I will print that state dot destination, right? So if this is changed, that will happen. If I now go to my, it's not the most logical way, but it's just to show. If I go to the header control, I created this login thing, and I'm gonna abuse that email to change the state. I'm gonna inject that same state control here as well. State machine class state, like this. And if I hit the login button, I will say state destination is login model.email. Okay, so what will happen? Let's see. Let me change one thing just to make it a bit prettier. I'm gonna put this. Oh, right behind the title. So if I enter something in that login box, it will be printed here as well. And this is a way of transforming state into, to hand it over into different portions of your application. So if I go here now, here we are. I go to login. You'll see the search has the two braces here. Oh, and it needs to, I need to change one thing, which is it needs to, where was it? I need to call this one. Oh. I might need to change something to trigger the main UI to update, but in essence, what happens now is that it should be updated. Yeah, I need to do an event here, but the state isn't here. So this is typically how you could transform state from one portion to another. This is one of the ways, actually.
Cool. Thanks, Don. So Sushil also said, is there a NuGet package with name state machine? And I added that like required module state machine in the module.cs. Can you see that question?
I guess it might be a good idea for Sushil to contact me by email to
Hi.
discuss it further, because I'm not entirely sure what his intentions are with the state machine. So let's put. Shall I answer, or are you answering him?
I'm answering.
Okay, cool. Now we'll talk
Now
about
everyone has your email.
that. Yeah, no problem.
All right. Great. So next time we will tackle that gallery using DevExpress.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Don. Everybody,
Cool.
if you haven't followed us, please do. If you haven't turned on your notifications so you know when we go live, you should do that also. And that is it for this one. Don will be back tomorrow morning with Gregory doing more React.
Yep.
And next week, I'll be back on Tuesday with Areg doing more Maui reporting. So tune in for those. All right, everybody. Thank you, Don.
Cool.